am Nongebo Vukile Mackenzie, and this is the podcast, Sawubona. Every fortnight, a guest joins us for a conversation or to share a story. It's a pleasure to share these with you and to have you with us. Welcome, Ngiyakwamukela, to another episode of Nongebo Mackenzie, the podcast. On this episode of the podcast, we are again joined by a guest from the Transnet National Port Authority, specifically the Port of Richards Bay. We are joined by Wonga Magqabi. He's the port engineer at the Port of Richards Bay. Wonga, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for welcoming here, Mhlathuze.
So the Port of Richards Bay, its significance cannot be overstated. In one of the other discussions with your colleague, Corporate Affairs Manager Nkululeko Molefe, he went really into detail in terms of the history of the port, the significance of the port, and how it serves the area. But let's just recapture that now from your perspective, the importance and the significance of the Port of Richards Bay.
Thank you. Now, I think, as we indicated, the port was born in 1976. In fact, in 2 years' time, we will be celebrating the 50th birthday of the port. And the significance is because we are a dry bulk port. We export most of those what called the dry bulk minerals, and again, it's a deep sea, so we play that role in terms of getting those big vessels, and of course with the community around. There is it's a port people where people are being employed, and there are some companies that they established next to the port based on that significance of terms of whether it's a liquid bulk that they export or dry bulk or whatever minerals that they engage with. And that has also assisted people like us. We have been employed as a port as we speak, and then that significance is still living, and as part of then the strategy, we want to continue with that as a stance of the port and have the port expand and diversify in terms of whatever we've been always about the dry bulk, but we want to go to the new markets, whether your energy and whether your gas, whether your liquefied natural gas, which is LNG, and so that we continue that legacy, if I call it.
Let's talk about that strategy, because at the session that we attended, there was quite a key focus on nothing can stop the port. It cannot, because once that stops, it's the economy, it's the inflow and outflow, basically, of trade that gets impacted. When I say stop, as in halt operations, any downtime has a negative effect. And that obviously all speaks to strategy, making sure that things keep on rolling, essentially, that the wheels keep on ticking in terms of operations at the port. So let's talk about the strategy to ensure that the ball stays on the mark.
Correct. If the port stop, it's like almost the whole economy system of the country has stopped. In fact, some people, they indicate that prior to for those major cities, there was first a port and then the city developed. So it's not always a vice versa where there's a city and then the port. So we have as a port a growth strategy where we want to ensure that we know that we excel in the dry bulk. We want to continue and that expansion of that dry bulk, but we also want to go to the new market in terms of maybe unlocking those markets like LNG, your renewables, and then the last part is about the what do you call it, the oversight in terms of the current situations, because we don't want to be a port that is the minerals that we engage with, like sometimes they produce some dust and so forth, and then we don't want to be now seen as if we are the people that are harming the environment in that kind. So we do oversight in that regard. So in that three-pillar growth strategy, we encourage on those. Then if I have to expand in those, like for instance in the dry bulk, we have projects like where we want to expand in terms of the other berth in the port, like your 708, 709, when you berth 605, and then the 802, 803. These are being strategically because we have foreseen that there is a demand out there, and then the what do you call it, the value in terms of the demand is going to increase in the next 10 years. In fact, we are saying by 27-28 financial year, we want to double the revenue we make as a port at this point in time.
So looking at those three pillars that you have just highlighted, so the expansion of dry bulk capacity, implementation of integrated oversight framework, unlocking new infrastructure capacity to enable new markets and product sectors. And I know we're going to talk about renewable energy. You've got quite a strong project there, and also just from an environmental point of view, the work that you're doing there. You've touched on the expansion of dry bulk capacity. Let's look at the integrated oversight framework.
Okay. In the integrated oversight framework, is purely about, we call it ourselves, we have a committee where we call it a port oversight committee, where the different business units around the port, we overlook what are the terminal operators, are they operating in number one, safely? Are they operating according to environment? Are they not damaging the infrastructure that is there? So we play that role in terms of ensuring that we maintain this infrastructure that we have. We don't damage the environment that we have. And we also, we don't a port that kills people, because we like safety become number one as far as Transnet is concerned. And then that oversight plays that in terms of the equipment that are being used, are they correct equipment for the job by the terminal operators? Are they also employing the good skills or right skills? And then are they also, as I said, I think I'm repeating myself, but in terms of environmental impact. And then we have now started a project where we build a value management hub where different, ODs, your TFR, your TPT, and even other operating division will be in one room, and then we are all engaging on the efficiencies of the port, because this oversight assists in the efficiencies of what we do as a port.
Just please expand on the importance of that, of having the different operating divisions essentially creating that value chain and establishing that linkage that is evident in the operations of the port, how it all is an input.
Maybe let me start in this point of saying, remember the port itself, as I said, in 1976, it was more about a rail port.
Yes.
Where every cargo was being transported from inland to the port by rail, and once it reached the port, and then there will be what we call the conveyor belt, and then those conveyor belts, then they transport the material to the cargo. And then you have seen a change in that market, where now the trucks are also part of the transportation or the logistic in the system. So it becomes important then that value management hub or that oversight, that how do we ensure that the different ODs, they play their roles in terms of, if there's a bottleneck on the rail, you will imagine that then there would be no those trucks that you used to see on the N2 and the R34, and then they will be becoming a nuisance to our public. And then so when we know that as integrated, and then we are able to then unlock the bottleneck before it even occurred, and then we don't foresee or we don't experience what we've seen in 22-23 financial year.
Yeah, because I mean, not to sit on that too much and not to focus on that too much, but just using the trucks as an example, obviously there have been many conversations about the impact from a traffic flow point of view, from what the long queues in terms of now, because you'll find that some of the trucks are parked on the side, some they're turning in the road, so there's safety issues, and there's obviously people are getting out, and they're sitting or whatever it is that they'd be doing, because I mean you can't sit in a truck for a day or two. You need to get out. But where are the necessary facilities for whatever's needed there? And then that's got an environmental impact as well. And there's safety concerns and all of that. And I think what you're saying, from what I'm understanding, is that ensuring efficiencies in all the different operating divisions that I'll say in parenthesis that feed into the port or work with the port or ensure or connect with the port, ensuring that whatever is brought in and whatever needs to exit, there's that flow is managed properly. All that needs to operate smoothly, but there needs to be that linkage. As you're saying, there's a committee that represents all the ODs to make sure that everyone is aware what the other's doing. So the left knows what the right is doing, so that it can all move in synchronized fashion.
Correct. I could not say it better. Exactly. It's like you are working for the
like
part.
I'm a project.
But that's exactly that. And it helps that from that we have developed some projects. For instance, now the trucks that you don't see exactly that we're parking on the N2 and stuff, we have created a truck staging area within the port.
Okay.
Where at least when they are in the port, the facilities that we're talking about are there, and the safety and so forth are being encouraged. But now that was not only from the TNPA point of view only, or there was different ODs that were playing this and assisted in this truck facility staging area. So as we were saying, so that with that oversight, efficiency and so forth, it did assist in that. Remember, it's not only from the land side, also from the seaside, where now you're looking at the vessels that are being on standing on the queue, and stuff like that, because people, once they are cargo on time, and then if you have ordered your stuff and then it's coming from the China and so forth, and then you've been told that there's a bottleneck at the Richards Bay, of course it's not healthy as far as the business is concerned. So all of that is what we've been called and look at, and I can say that the efficiency has improved, and we are still foreseeing that it will be improved much better. There's still a room for improvement for that.
From creating that integration. I'm curious about the tourism aspect. One wouldn't think of a port, we think of it from a business transaction point of view, but also from the perspective of unlocking new markets. Yes, there are other aspects that you spoke about, but I'm really curious about the tourism sector element of it.
Well, the tourism factor has been always there, and it's something that we just want to embark on it further and see how do we really play a role in assisting that. Because if I would say now and then we do get the cruise terminals that have been have to come to our port, and we don't have a berth for them, dedicated berth or a facility for them, and we want to go to that market and say, because remember, in the inland there is the Big Five, the what you call it in the by the Zululand. I just forgot, but there is a farm that where people, our tourists or tourists love to go and visit. So we've seen a big market that is coming there, and as much as when we went out and find that it was not really viable in terms of economic of scale, but as a port is something that we want to embark on and see that this thing we're foreseeing that in the next 10 years to come, it will be one of the things that will be really not only from the generating point revenue for the port, but for the economy out there. Remember, if there's one of those cruise terminal comes, our mamas bayaza bazothengisa basibonise impahla zesiZulu okanye zesiXhosa okanye zeculture, and then the tourists love that, and then they get allowed ukuthi benze ilandu what you call it, vendors for that. And can you see that the economy of growth of scales is changing, not only for a certain big players, but even for the lower people on the ground.
But the way oyichaza it also shows the importance of understanding the demographics of the area that you are in, because not everyone will be absorbed into the technical skills initiatives that you as the Port of Richards Bay drive. And not everyone wants to sustain themselves that way. There is a very strong arts and culture sector that we have. And as you say, because we get a lot of international tourists, they're coming here to go to the game reserves and all of that, for them to interact with that as soon as they arrive, and for that to be done in an organized fashion as well. I think it also capacitates the vendors that you're talking about, and it also makes them feel like they're part of the port. I remember in one of the discussions that we had, it was mentioned that abantu base Richards Bay basithi port yabo. and it will give them that feeling ukuthi iport yethu ke ningadlaleli lapha ngoba yila kuthengisa khona umama uzibani la kufika khona abantu sikwazi ukuthi nathi siyothengisa siveza amakhono ethu umsebenzi wethu wezandla.
Kanjalo. And it's true, wherever you are been around the Richards Bay, and then you think that it's your port. No, the people, they tell you straight that port here to Lena, and we please ninga emosh, because it's been handed over from generation to generation, and that's what we want to keep in this as a strategy that we want to go forward. That's why we want to have these big projects that we're embarking on, and to diversify this what you call it, not only from the dry bulk point of view, the liquid bulk. I mean, we have projects like your LNG at this point that has been, it's a public knowledge that it was awarded to a consortium. We have a project like a container facility that has also been awarded. We have projects like that we are recently in the market about getting 5 more terminal operators in the South Dunes. And all of this is about, as you say, port yabantu, and we want to ensure that in the future the people still sustain and get this port as a strategy in terms of they are being part of people's port, if I can call that.
So, having considered the operational efficiencies which you've touched on, and having considered also just ensuring that from a logistics point of view, the processes are managed accordingly and all the tie-ins they are managed accordingly. One of the perceptions, because it's minerals that exit through the port of Richards Bay, is obviously the impact of that from an environmental point of view and how you manage that. I mean, the easiest example to make is coal, because from a global point of view, the perception of that, there have been many conversations about it, and obviously with the shift in terms of renewable energy and renewable sources of energy. How do you manage that from an environmental point of view?
Look, we obviously there's a need of when we store the coal, how we then ensure that maybe the dust that is evaporated from the coal doesn't go as far as to the community that is out there. And I know it's one of the challenges that we have at this point, where we have to settle the dust and ensure that we are not harming the people. And the results are not now in terms of how are we managing that, but
yes.
We are working around the clock in terms of assisting, ensuring that there is a proper mitigation plans in terms of whether we have a stockpile that is there and being kept, and then there's whether the dust suppression method and so forth, or the handling of in that method. That's why we're talking about when we're doing this oversight, the equipment that are being used, utilized by the terminal operator,
yes.
of right equipment that are not. Remember, when we're talking this environment, not only talking about human beings on
yes.
the site, also the marine life
yeah.
that is there. So it's a serious matter, and we are ensuring that we keep that. And I can say the port is one of the top priorities in terms of their risk register. How do we manage and ensure that the environment is kept? But we, like I said, going forward, we want to diversify, and we, yes, coal will probably be something that will be used, but there are other projects like where people are going to cleaner energy like LNG.
Yes.
And that will be, I think, is one of the next big thing that will happen in South Africa. And for us, already having a project where we are already saying by 2028 and so, or 2029, we already have a terminal for that. And it shows that we want to those environmental harmful products, as much as we still gonna be exporting them, but we will be now coming to the one that are more environmentally friendly.
So leaning more towards those and having a lower reliance on the others, both from an operational point of view, but also in terms of how you handle them from an environmental point of view.
Correct. No,
all right.
Correct.
So projecting forward, I mean, strategy, short-term, long-term, short-term, medium-term, long-term. For the Port of Richards Bay, what are your projections?
Look, for the short term, I spoke about that value management hub, where all different ODs, we are in construction of that hub, and we're saying in 12 months' time, that's our short term, in 12 months' time it will be already in operations. And we're also trying to ensure that the traffic management system is intact, and there is no, even when you're entering the port itself, in terms of what you call technology, you are being tagged. We know who entered the port and where are you in the port. Those are like the short term intervention. And then in the medium term, we are looking in upgrading the roads that were damaged during these I'll call it coal boom, and we want to reinstate those roads. That is in the next 36 months. And then in long term, the LNG, the renewables will be the things that will be available, and we'll be able to showcase those as a port.
Wonga, thank you very much. I think it gives us a clear picture, because again, the importance of the port, the significance of the port, and getting a better understanding of how the port operates and what the port's plans are in terms of its immediate operations, but also in terms of working with the community. And when I say community, I'm talking about the business community as well. I'm talking about the community of Richards Bay. That's also quite important, and I hope we'll have an opportunity to stay abreast of those developments as you have just outlined them for us.
Definitely. Thank you for hosting me.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the podcast. Remember, you can like the episode and share the podcast link, as well as listen to more episodes on the channel. Subscribe to the channel for more. Siyabonga. Thank you for listening.